Welcome to the release of the Fedcap Group's fiscal year 2024 full year financial and programmatic results. All participants will be in a listen-only mode. Should you need assistance, please signal a conference specialist by pressing the star key followed by 0. We have with us today the Fedcap Group's President and CEO, Christine McMahon, and Carol Corey, Chief Financial Officer. Today's presentation will cover several key areas, including program performance and highlights, financial reports, and strategic growth opportunities. After today's presentation, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. Please note, to ask a question, you must be dialed in by phone. When the Q&A portion of the session begins, you will be prompted to press star, then 1 to join the queue. Please note that this event is being recorded. At this time, I'd like to turn the conference over to Christine McMahon. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Betsy. And a special thanks once again to Advisory Partners, our investor relations partner group, for their ongoing efforts in preparing this release. Their not-for-profit division has been guiding this process for the past 10 years, and we're very, very grateful. I'm joined this morning, as mentioned, by our CFO, Carol Corey, and we both appreciate your interest in our organization and your participation on today's call. In addition to our dedicated board members, our impact, of course, is strengthened by our suppliers, our service partners, donors, and, of course, our government partners. A special thank you goes to our 3,500 extraordinary staff members, all committed to a single mission, improving economic well-being. Begin on slide 4, you'll see our work is driven by 4 key areas of practice: education, workforce health, and economic development. We operate through 26 subsidiary companies across 106 locations serving communities in the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. We have and will continue to expand our international activities. Our portfolio across the U.K. and Canada is roughly 30% of our total operations. And this year we will enter the Australian market. In 2024, we executed 204 contracts worth $150 million, bringing our total contract term value to roughly $1.3 billion across 319 contracts. Slide 5. In 2022, we began incorporating the UN's Sustainable Development Goals into our strategy and reporting framework. Although we're still in the early stages, we are very proud to be focused on the transparent reporting within all 17 goals, including ending poverty, advancing high quality education and health services, promoting gender equality, and reducing our environmental impact. Our commitment to all 17 of these sustainable principles continues to shape our strategic efforts. On slide 6, our organizational structure is designed to create meaningful impact through innovation, growth, and a balanced approach to financial and programmatic risk management. We collaborate closely with stakeholders, including government partners, donors, and a robust supply chain to deliver scalable solutions that create opportunity for every individual to achieve sustainable economic future. Our approach is rooted in meticulous planning, prudent resource investment, and a long view commitment to sustained fiscal health. We remain dedicated to staying relevant by continuously innovating and delivering measurable impacts across systems, driving economic mobility within every aspect of our work. On slide 8, in addition to serving over 244,000 individuals, a 7% increase over last year, our focus extends to creating solutions for individuals, communities, and improving the systems that hinder economic mobility. Our operating principles emphasize sustainable financial health and top-tier contract performance in each of the sectors we serve. And in addition to meeting performance metrics, we prioritize innovations that go above and beyond, introducing systemic changes that help individuals achieve economic mobility, specifically to improve wage and wealth outcomes. Embedding parent education and financial literacy throughout our programs are just 2 examples of how we're driving these outcomes. We will continue to spotlight these priorities in years ahead. On slide 9, some performance highlights. Our vision, strategy, and principles are straightforward and aligned with our performance results. We build scalable solutions to advance economic mobility. Our portfolio continues to grow in all areas of practice. 2024 revenues of $382 million reflect a $16 million increase from last year with a balanced growth across all areas of practice. For example, education grew to represent nearly 20% of total revenue in 2024, a 100% increase since 2020, and almost 800% increase since 2015. On slides 10 and 11, you can see our education portfolio remains strong, with $71 million in revenues in 2024 and a pipeline approaching $45 million in annual revenues. We are proud to report an over 100% increase this past year in student enrollments, serving almost 5,000 students. Our education programs span from early childhood through adulthood, offering a diverse range of customized programs that support every stage of an individual's educational journey. We continue to innovate by launching new programs and adapting to emerging industry needs. Our graduation rates far exceed industry standards at 82% compared to community college rates, for example, which are just under 45%. Additionally, our job placement rates stand at 74%. And on slide 11, this year, we've made key advances in high priority areas. For example, in 2024, we completed our first year of operations at Civic Hall at Union Square in New York City, exceeding projections with over 35,000 visitors to 150 events and training programs, including over 1,000 individuals trained in tech-based certification programs. We expanded our high-demand trades program by acquiring TAC, a trade school for individuals with autism in Denver, Colorado. We implemented a co-location model for Easter Seals child development programs within public schools in Oklahoma. And we're also poised to enter the international markets with pilot programs in clean energy in the UK, and this will launch in January, and an expansion to Canada soon thereafter. On slides 12 and 13, our workforce performance is exceptional. We reached $147 million in total revenue, placing over 28,000 people in competitive employment, an 11% increase over last year. Retention rates continue to outperform industry standards, with over 76% of the individuals maintaining employment past 180 days. Some key accomplishments this past year on slide 13 include the extension of our largest UK contract restart for 2 more years to serve long-term unemployed. We transformed our workforce programs in Maine to mirror UK's Restart Jobs program. We're piloting a new model for Tennessee to engage individuals who have been out of the workforce for some time. These individuals face significant barriers such as disabilities, substance use disorder, health issues, or there may be justice involved. We're also positioned in the UK to support the over 2.8 million individuals currently on sickness benefits who hope to transition into sustainable employment. Our workforce pipeline continues to grow, currently at $183 million in qualified status, and $120 million of that is new work. On slides 14 and 15, we cover our health portfolio, which reached 118,000 individuals this year. Through our single-stop screening tool, we unlocked $658 million in benefits last year alone, delivering a $300 return for every dollar spent. We provided wellness services to over 38,000 people with an 84% health improvement rate across our health service portfolio. We are focused specifically on those health barriers that affect economic mobility. And looking ahead on slide 15, in the U.S., we are partnering with states who are leveraging the 1115 waivers to innovate service delivery for individuals facing significant barriers. We're expanding services for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, focusing on health barriers to employment and training. We're actively pursuing contract opportunities with managed care funders across commercial, Medicare, and Medicaid lines of business. On slides 16 and 17, our economic development portfolio reached $126 million this past year, with 1,100 jobs created across our social enterprises such as manufacturing, high-demand print and mail, and total facilities management. Notably, 75% of these employees have disabilities and earn on average 30% above the minimum wage. We shall continue to grow, providing high-quality jobs with benefits. This work has significantly improved the economic well-being of these employees, And this next year, we'll partner on federal military contracts. We have plans to expand TFM services in international markets, and we have launched an enhanced set of business service products, such as high-volume printing for domestic expansion. We continue to prioritize the work of our emerging community development financial institution, our CDFI, which is designed to improve asset and wealth creation of individuals facing barriers to economic mobility. This focus reflects a fundamental truth. While wages are critical, they alone do not create true economic security. To achieve lasting economic well-being, individuals need to accumulate wealth, such as equity in a home, retirement savings, an opportunity to own a business, and assets that buffer against life's uncertainties. This commitment to wealth generation goes beyond the scope of any contract requirement. It's at the heart of our long-term economic mobility agenda, rooted in a belief that economic security includes wages, but also focuses on creating opportunity for wealth creation, which is a foundation for future generations. For the past 14 years, supported by our HR team, our staff have led this effort with diligence and purpose. Through expanded training, financial literacy, education, and effective communication, we have made tangible progress. One remarkable example of this impact is the increase in participation rates for long-term savings amongst those in our programs. Last year, we achieved a 67% increase in participation, an extraordinary milestone that will have profound and lasting effects on the wealth accumulation and financial security of individuals and families who participate. At Fedcap, we're not only helping people earn a paycheck, we're helping them build a pathway to the middle class, a pathway paved with opportunity and a future that holds real economic mobility. I'd now like to turn the presentation over to Carol Corey, our CFO, who will review key financial metrics.
Thanks, Chris. And thank you, everyone, for joining the call. Welcome to the Fedcap Group's consolidated financial performance for the year ended September 30th, 2024. Let's begin with slide 19. Our gross revenues for the period were $382.1 million, $16 million or 4.5% higher than prior year end, and emerging from the COVID years with a 40% increase in top line revenue since 2020. Moving on to slide 20 is the Fedcap Group's balance sheet highlights. Cash and investments, total assets, long-term debt, and net assets remain consistent with prior year's balances. We maintained our liquidity levels despite environmental, political, and funder risk, as we continued our investment in infrastructure, capital assets, and growth. Slide 21 highlights our key financial indicators. We generated an operating margin of 1.08%. Our personnel costs and program expenses remain consistent at 53% and 88% respectively. The consistent margins and expense ratios reflect our leadership in matching expenses to revenue. Our metrics for the fiscal year demonstrate our ability to operate with sufficient liquidity, evidenced by an average DSO of 67 days and a current ratio of 1.64. Moving on to slide 22, our compound annual growth rate is 12.5%, a consistent and steady growth, and since 2010, revenue increased more than 5 times. Slide 23 spotlights real-time risks for all businesses, and particularly nonprofits, that face a wide range of concerns impacting operations and mission delivery. In addition to cash flow pressures from rising costs and significantly delayed payments from local governments, the coming year brings considerable uncertainties due to government leadership changes across the globe. An additional critical barrier to growth and innovation for not-for-profits especially is the issue of capital. Unlike for-profit entities, which can leverage traditional banking systems for capital investments, nonprofits frequently face a double standard in accessing financing. Many financial institutions categorize nonprofits as higher-risk borrowers and exclude us from traditional growth funding opportunities, such as equity investments, venture capital, and other capital markets. necessary for scaling operations, launching innovative and transformative programs, and entering new markets, or implementing critical infrastructure upgrades necessary for a long-term impact. Even winning new contracts, often a key driver of growth for nonprofits, presents financial hurdles. Most lines of credit available to nonprofits are tied to a percentage of our accounts receivable, limiting our ability to secure adequate upfront capital needed to execute large-scale contracts, and forces nonprofits to operate with a narrow margin for error. To be able to navigate these systemic barriers, we continuously seek alternative capital solutions. Through enhanced partnerships with mission-aligned financial institutions like our banking partner, Provident, we work to address these challenges, unlocking more equitable opportunities for growth and innovation. These efforts ensure that we have the resources needed to achieve our full potential and continue advancing our mission effectively. On slide 24 and 25, we are looking ahead to our future growth. Management has a positive outlook through 2030. We plan to continue both organic growth and acquisitions, including the introduction of new and innovative models. Our pipeline is strong, approaching $275 million in qualified opportunities and over $2.5 billion in total prospects. The pipeline is purposefully diversified to stabilize against market fluctuations and includes entering the Australian market in all 4 practice areas. Of note, our win rate for new business is solid at 37% and recompetes at 91%. Our goal is to grow our pipeline by 20% in 2025. Please move to slide 26. Our primary source of revenue continues to come from a diverse portfolio of government and institutional contracts, but which currently accounts for 84% of our total revenue. We remain committed to aggressively pursuing these contracts. The uncertainties and fluidity in government operations, however, across our footprint necessitate a broader growth strategy. This includes a strong focus on revenue diversification, with an emphasis on expanding fee-for-service offerings in education and health. The growth of our education practice has been a key driver of this diversification, particularly through tuition revenue. Looking ahead, we project that fee-for-service revenue will account for 35% of our total revenue by 2030, providing greater stability and resilience. At the same time, we are intensifying our efforts to increase philanthropic support, further strengthening our financial foundation and ability to deliver on our mission. The Fedcap Group's overall year-end financial performance was stable and achieved our budgeted targets for the year. Thank you again for joining in, and now back to Chris.
Thank you, Carol. Continuing to look ahead on slide 28, you can see that our growth strategy will continue to focus on a broad range of populations who face significant barriers to economic mobility, including neurodivergent individuals, those with justice-involved women. We will enter new and expanded markets and a focus on technology advancements such as AI solutions that will further drive growth. We remain committed to standardized models, data-driven interventions, key leadership expansions, and diversification. On slides 29, 30, and 31, we'll review some key innovative market priorities. In the coming years, our focus on key market priorities will be critical to driving growth and impact. By targeting areas where we already have proven capability and scalable solutions, we can expand our footprint and strengthen our position in both commercial and government sectors. On slide 29, one major area of focus is our facilities management market, a division where we have recently added significant talent and formed strategic partnerships to pursue an addressable market estimated at $5.5 billion. We currently have added $155 million in potential new projects in the pipeline, with an ambitious plan to grow this pipeline by over 100% this next year. With over 25 million square feet currently under management and tremendous capability, growth in this area aligns seamlessly with our operational capabilities and strategic goals. On slide 30, we're also expanding into Australia, a market projected to represent $2 billion in opportunities over the next few years. The Australian government's new programs aimed at improving employment outcomes for individuals with disabilities and other barriers align perfectly with our expertise in disability, employment, education, and health service delivery. On slide 31, a third market opportunity, we're expanding our software solutions. Since the launch of our 2015 strategic plan, Fedcap has developed several state-of-the-art SaaS platforms that have already proven effective in advancing economic well-being. Examples include Single Stop, Fedcap Cares, Prep Now, and most recently with the launch of our Fedcap virtual reality software. Our approach to technology has evolved significantly over the years. While we once viewed technology primarily through the lens of infrastructure efficiency and security risk, the next generation of opportunities extended far beyond those issues. The rapid pace of technological advancement is, again, reshaping the competitive landscape, compelling us to rethink growth strategies and the role technology plays in advancing our impact. The rapid pace of technological change is now a catalyst for transformative impact. To address services and program gaps over the next 5 years, we will continue to explore new software solutions, including those driven by rapidly emerging AI technologies, providing transformative opportunities to revolutionize the lives of those we serve. For example, access to training and education with AI-driven platforms, delivering personalized, high-quality learning to underserved populations and remote locations. Enhanced job placement, providing advanced analytics, matching individuals with jobs tailored to their skills and potential. Improved accessibility, assistive technologies, empowering individuals with disabilities to participate fully in the workforce. And continued enhancements, of course, to Single Stop and the other existing SaaS platforms. Our strategic approach to all these priority areas, rooted in scalability, partnerships, and operational expertise, position us to make a measurable impact in these markets and others, while advancing our mission of improving economic mobility for all. I'd like to turn the call over to Betsy for the Q&A.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. Please note, to ask a question, you must be dialed in by phone. To ask a question, please press star, then 1 on your telephone keypad. If you are using a speakerphone, please pick up your handset before pressing the keys. To withdraw your question, please press star, then 2. At this time, we will pause momentarily to assemble our roster. The first question today comes from Tony St. Ledger with USI. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Carol and Chris. What a great presentation. I've got to catch my breath. You went so fast through so many great things, and what a great year. Congratulations, and looking forward to another great year. I have 2 questions for you. The first is, how does pursuing the 1115 Medicaid waivers align with Fedcap's broader commitment to expanding integrated health services? And the second question is, as Fedcap scales its clubhouse model and strengthens partnerships in the health sector, what strategies will be used to build sustainable relationships with healthcare providers while addressing the critical need for holistic health and wellness services?
Thanks for the question, Tony. So the 1115 waivers is very exciting to us. It provides states with enormous flexibility, which is really one of the issues with some of the service deliveries are the lack of flexibility within these structures and their lack of ability to integrate and more smoothly braid the various components of what it takes to be successful. So these 1115 waivers are enormously helpful in terms of being able to launch new approaches to things, even making small changes. It perfectly aligns with our our own innovative strategy within Fedcap, which is to sort of augment or inoculate some of these systems with new and innovative ideas, this 1115 waiver is really going to give us a platform to get that done. We are also very focused as examples in addition to adding parent education and financial literacy in places where it's currently not allowable. There are other areas like including employment and job training programs and other educational supports. This too will allow us to, again, braid various things inside these government programs. We're currently exploring, for example, a pilot initiative in Connecticut, which could serve as really a scalable model for broader implementation. We hope to sort of prove a concept here, but in this example, we're integrating comprehensive supports that foster long-term stability amongst those individuals who are entitled to health services but are not currently taking advantage of them outside of showing up at emergency rooms. And so this is a great example of an opportunity to not just test something out locally, an innovative idea, but to be able to scale it and perhaps, push it throughout the system. So we're very, very excited about these 1115 waivers. Thanks, Tony, for that question.
Thank you, and happy holidays to everybody.
Next question comes from Brian Bradley with Lennox Partnership. Please go ahead.
Hello, thanks, and good afternoon. Good afternoon from Scotland. I'd just like to echo Tony's comments first about another brilliant year. It's really impressive, very well done. I was wondering about the specific strategies that Fedcap will use to expand its footprint in established international markets like Canada and the UK, whilst entering the new markets such as Australia. And given the international and political headwinds you discussed, could you provide a deeper dive into how Fedcap plans to mitigate potential risks and capitalise on emergent opportunities in these regions?
Thanks, Brian. That's a great question, and one we spend a lot of time thinking about. And as you know, the political shifts, both the U.S. and across the U.K., are prime examples of exactly the headwinds we're facing, and makes your question so interesting. So our main way that we're going to be addressing both existing markets and new markets, in particular in light of the government shifts, is to really leverage our capability. These new governments are going to need to accomplish things, and we have established concrete capabilities that I think will be very appealing to these new administrations, rooted in our existing practice areas: education, workforce, health, and economic development. In particular, in established markets like Canada and across the UK, our first area of expansion is to more broadly address those markets. So where we may be in these markets exclusively with one area of practice, is to expand our impact in those regions with more diversified portfolio. For example, bringing education into the UK, but also bringing economic development and some health services. The same would be true in Canada. Also in Canada and likewise in more domestic markets, but certainly Australia being a great example, is we plan to enter these markets with expanded geography. So, for example, in Canada, where we're in a limited location, we would expect to bring not only 4 areas of practice, but to expand our footprint across Canada with proven existing capabilities. Even scaling services such as our TFM, our social enterprises, which and pairing them with expanded education opportunities in high demand sectors. So being able to enter a market like Australia, and expand in the UK and or in Canada with some solutions around delivering high demand workforce, the climate and energy related workforce, for example, through our trade schools, and then through our social impact business, and then on to sort of a workforce agenda, ensuring that these individuals are ready to be employed in the commercial market. So So our second phase of that would be, of course, deepening our ties with government, and again, working with government to advance and perhaps even influence some of the policy changes that are aligned with some of the trends that everyone is seeing. We have a Community Impact Policy Institute. We hope to use that as a platform for addressing some expanded policy issues and some impact results, and expand that into these new territories. We want to establish Fedcap as a trusted service provider through not just the work we're currently doing there, but again, within a well-rounded and all four areas of our practice. We want to establish Fedcap full capacity in these locations. We're very, very excited about Australia, and we hope to use it as a platform, not just to come in with a single practice approach, but to really push through the totality of our capability across all practice areas. There are some unmet needs in these markets, so that's sort of a third or fourth component of this. And as one example, our Civic Hall operation, which I mentioned earlier, is currently talking with folks in Taiwan, Spain, and Israel who are also looking to expand digital skills and innovative training. And while we expect all of these combined strategies to advance our work, of course, we are developing contingency models for what we think will be a continuation of potential policy and economic shifts, certainly over these next 4 or 5 years. So, but we are very excited about these expansions and feel that we are well equipped to expand in our current markets and to enter new markets such as Australia. But thanks for that question.
Thanks, Christine. Bye.
The next question comes from Anna Arnold with Oracle. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Chris and Carol, and thank you for having me today. Congratulations on these incredible results and presentation. They reaffirm the transformative power of aspirational thinking, a core value embraced by the entire Fedcap family. Thank you for seeing greatness in everyone, no matter their circumstances. So my question is that, you have highlighted parenting education and financial literacy as key areas of focus. Why were these specific initiatives prioritized, and what challenges does Fedcap anticipate in implementing them effectively across diverse communities and programs? Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. And you picked two areas that I'm particularly attached to, this notion of advancing parent education and financial literacy, both, and really embedding them across our services. And this is just another example of our philosophy, which is to ensure that what really drives economic mobility is a combination of approaches and tools. Oftentimes our funding streams are limited to sort of vertical, sort of narrowly focused interventions, and we feel that adding very key and specific interventions to some of these robust funding pipes can really advance economic mobility and increase a person's opportunities for long-term economic security. Parent education and financial literacy in particular address fundamental barriers directly to economic well-being. There's an enormous amount of research backing both of these types of interventions, and we've picked specifically two products that have each come with long-term research and data supporting its specific effectiveness. I like parent education because it really, while it supports the child's developmental skills, it also reduces reliance on social services as that child develops more typically, but it also, matched with financial literacy, equips parents and families with tools for long-term economic independence. So when you combine the two and embed it in programs like some of our TANF work, for example, what you really have is sort of a win-win-win-win scenario. We're going to continue to collaborate with states, federal governments to embed both parent education and financial literacy into services, into existing services like TANF, which we have begun piloting. This approach does leverage, the service framework, and it gets at directly the long-term economic barriers that people often face. It unlocks with these tools. It unlocks a pathway that I think accelerates success within these programs. So those are two great examples, and there are others. And I hope to keep advancing that concept of adding small but mighty and powerful interventions inside these large programs, such as TANF. But there are many others, and we're very excited about the initial results. Just as an aside, we've been able to put almost 1,000 individuals who participate in some of our TANF programs through a financial literacy and a parent education, and we expect to be able to report some interesting results on this internal pilot. And the opportunity to do this on scale would be extraordinary. So thanks for the question, Anna.
No, thank you very much for sharing all that. I think it's very important, the long-term independence, and break those economic barriers for individuals to achieve long-term independence, economic independence. Thank you so much.
The next question comes from Michael Turpin with USI. Please go ahead.
Hi, Chris and team. What's particularly amazing to me is where others might get a little bit pale or overwhelmed by facing so much unmet need and demand. You guys get enthusiastic by it and just run towards it, which is such a blessing today, given everything that's going on, and such an important part of the fabric of our community. I wanted to piggyback a little bit on the question or the comments you made about unmet demand. So are there other emerging trends that Fedcap's monitoring where there's unmet demand, like whether it's clean energy or the trades, and how does Fedcap plan to address those gaps, particularly if there's underserved populations with individuals that have a harder time, such as those with autism and those that have more complex barriers to achieve employment and economic stability?
Yeah, great question, Michael. And to begin the answer, I would say that you really identified one of the interesting components of this of our pursuit of unmet needs. So we do have a number of unmet needs that we've identified and plan on pursuing deliberately, in particular throughout 2025, but continuing on through 2030. And leaning into those underserved populations is key to that endeavor for us. You mentioned those with neurodivergent and also some other populations, people who have complex barriers, health barriers, for example, to long-term stability. And we're seeing this as a global issue of both neurodivergent, long-term health barriers, mental health, substance use, and in general, people coming out of jail or prison. Women in general continue to face barriers. So there are a number of unmet need populations, unmet needs that we can match some of these populations with. Of course, it's going to require highly specialized training and education and an approach, and we think we've been able to assemble some capability in this that will directly affect it. Some of these areas, for example, you mentioned the clean energy, we think advanced manufacturing, healthcare, skilled trades, these are all emerging opportunities. The economy has high demand on these areas, and we project a lot of growth. Economists are projecting a lot of growth in these areas. So, for example, in the clean energy and trades, we've developed a specialized training in solar installation, driving energy efficient and embedding that into construction trades. We are working with employers directly and trying to get a more direct answers to what their specific needs are. Even beyond sort of the solar installation and trade construction, thinking about things like HVAC systems, home digital automation, electric vehicle market. I mean, these are all areas where there's going to be extraordinary demand for workforce, and leaning into some of these populations that have heretofore been left off the discussions. We think we have the perfect combination to marry them. Of course, digital skills with the launch of Civic Hall is very, very important to us. And again, the estimated gaps in the workforce in the digital skill area is enormous. And I think, now with AI changing the landscape of the tech sector altogether, it's accelerating that demand and creating a real level-setting opportunity to evaluate what kinds of jobs are going to be available over the next 5 years, and how can we lean into these populations that have been overlooked for so long with highly specialized training. And so we're very excited about that. Trades in general, there are thousands of open jobs, and these jobs, by the way, are ranging in salaries from $75,000 to $130,000 in salaries, and still not enough people to meet that demand. So we are looking to expand our Apex trade programs, both domestically and internationally, to meet that demand. We expect a fair amount of expansion in that area, combined with TACT, which is the trade school specifically designed to help people with neurodivergent skills and get them into the workforce. Another area is really just looking at the whole inclusive workforce in totality, meaning being able to work with businesses to help bridge the gap between their understanding of these populations and bridge the gap between their attitude, employer attitudes, but also being able to deliver ready-made, skilled employees who perhaps are ready to take on some of these high-salaried, skilled jobs. We're developing interesting, innovative, adaptive learning models and engagement models. I mentioned our virtual reality operation a minute ago. These are enormously beneficial tools in helping people move from sort of passive employer to more aggressively focusing on those skills that they need specifically to land these jobs. And then finally, sort of on the unmet need list, I would put our social enterprise expansion and our CDFI on that list. Specifically, continuing to invest in our own social enterprises. As I mentioned, expansion on the TFM side. We have invested heavily in the print and mail business, and we hope to be able to increase that. And with that comes more jobs, obviously, for these individuals. And then the CDFI backing up right behind that to enable new businesses to emerge. Again, focusing and leaning in on some of these high-need populations. So all in all, I think the unmet need domain is going to remain a critical component of our strategy moving forward. And I think our combined capability positions us really well to meet those unmet needs with unique design and delivery models. So we're very excited about the unmet need portion.
Thanks so much.
This concludes our question and answer session. I will now turn the conference back over to Christine McMahon for closing remarks.
Thank you. And in closing, since I hope it's evident that our financial and programmatic performance are deeply aligned with our strategic objectives, we're optimistic about the future and well-positioned to scale effective, cost-efficient solutions across our expanding footprint. We have a proven infrastructure, tested implementation and delivery strategies, and an unwavering focus on growth and sustainability. We remain on track to exceed our future growth targets. As we move forward, we're committed not only to facing the challenges ahead, but also to meeting the opportunities with the same determination and innovation that define our work. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to our board members, donors, staff, and partners whose dedication and flexibility enable us to navigate the ever-emerging challenges. Together, we reaffirm our commitment to our mission, fostering economic mobility through high-quality education, meaningful work, targeted health services, and vibrant communities. Thank you for your continued support and partnership in this vital work.
The conference is now concluded. Thank you for attending today's presentation. You may now disconnect.